ये पास में जाता हुआ साइक्लोन आपको गुजरात के तटीय इलाकों में दिख रहा है। ये दरअसल अभी 12 तारीख है, 13 तारीख यानी कल किस तरीके से यहाँ पर मूवमेंट होगा वो भी देख लीजिए। और 14 और 15 पर नजर लगाइएगा, ये मूवमेंट है वो गुजरात के तटीय इलाकों को छूता हुआ, और खासतौर पर 15 तारीख को गुजरात के तटीय इलाकों को दिखता है, यहाँ पर दिख रहा है। और इसकी ये आपको मैं बता दूं, ये जो चीज है आपको जो रेड लाइन के साथ बीच में दिख रहा है, ये दरअसल इसकी आई है, ये इसकी आई है जो उसकी मूवमेंट फिक्स करते हैं। और वो अभी गुजरात के तटीय इलाकों में खासतौर पे इन कर्व पे और पहले ये जा रहा था मस्कत की ओर, फिर जा रहा था वो कराची की ओर, अब ये ड्रिफ्ट करता हुआ कराची की ओर, यानी अब ये इस तरीके से मूव होता हुआ दिख रहा है।
Good evening, hello and welcome. You're watching The Right Stand here on CNN News 18 with me, Poonam Borde. The ISIS threat is real and close for India. Many security analysts and observers will attest to the fact that this danger is very much present. It may not be a one that sends us into a tizzy, but it's definitely enough for our guard to be up. On the 27th of May, 3 men from Jabalpur were arrested by the National Investigating Agency for being alleged ISIS agents. The NIA seized sharp-edged weapons, ammunition, incriminating documents and digital devices during their crackdown on this particular ISIS model in Jabalpur in Madhya Pradesh. Over the course of the last 2 weeks since the arrest, the NIA has unearthed the motive, the modus, and they are now trying to nail the mastermind of this entire nexus. Are these 3 men the ones that were running this ring, or were they just pawns in the hand of a puppeteer that is calling the shots? A sinister plot indeed is brewing, many say, the extent of which needs to be investigated. Their terror plans need a deeper and sustained probe, says the NIA, and the NIA hopes to do exactly that. The court has also now extended the custody for these 3 until the 8th of July. Custodial interrogation is what the NIA hopes will give them the leads that they need to crack this entire case. It's been 2 weeks since the arrest of these 3 highly radicalized men. It's not me who's calling them that. It's the NIA that said that these are highly radicalized men. But CNN News 18 is joining the dots. Our investigation has thrown up some startling revelations. Here's what the probe has revealed so far as the NIA goes. One of the biggest revelations that has been made is that they reportedly formed a local ISIS outfit that was inspired by the outfit called Hizbullah. The revelation that has come to the fore now by means of sources within the NIA is that Adil Khan, Shahid were tech-savvy engineering graduates. The trio allegedly was involved in recruiting via cyber platforms. Remember, the digital age that we live in seems to be a boon and a bane like many other inventions that we've seen across life. The accused are accused of participating in purchase of arms and weapons, all of course illegally. They reportedly plan to carry out violent crimes. The planning is what they are now looking into. The NIA is trying to piece together the mystery of what their possible targets could have been. The alleged modus operandi is to establish an Islamic dominance. The kind of literature that has been found from them, the kind of evidence the NIA says has been found from this trio, points to what they think is an establishment of an Islamic dominance. The NIA is also saying that these 3 allegedly were driven and motivated by a violent ideology of ISIS. They claim that propaganda information, jihadi literature and pamphlets have been seized. This was pre the arrest of the trio, the raids that were conducted before, and the raids that continued based on the interrogation of these 3. Another revelation that has been made by the agency is that the accused were in contact with foreign-based handlers. Where the foreign-based handlers are, which country, all of that needs to be pieced together. Another revelation that's coming to the fore is that these 3 explored ways to migrate to Syria or Iraq and join the ISIS. That is a revelation that has been made in several other cases where such modules have been thwarted, have been busted by the agency. So for how long did this go on? For how long was this network of these 3 or whoever was calling the shots was going on? And how did they do it? Here's what we've learned from our sources within the intelligence bodies. These accused held meetings in mosques to influence the youth. They allegedly recruited youth via WhatsApp and Instagram, the 2 most popular apps that one uses today. These trio reportedly showed ISIS training videos via their platforms, via Instagram, via WhatsApp messages. They allegedly also ran YouTube channels to spread ISIS agenda. That's another charge that has come to the fore. That's something that the NIA is now investigating. Now, these 3 men had 3 specific motives, is what we've learned. That has been confirmed to us by our sources within the intel agencies. Charge number one is that they wanted to establish Sharia law as above democratic systems. That was their one agenda, a big one. They wanted to discourage acquaintances from voting in elections. They wanted to try and meddle with the democratic process of this country. They also allegedly wanted to recruit youth with an aim to conduct violent jihad. This is what NIA sources have told us. They also wanted, allegedly, to convert girls to bring demographic change in the country. That was another motive that was driving them. This is what the probe has so far revealed. They have another 2 weeks of custody for these three, and the NIA is going to piece together perhaps a bigger plot. Were these three the masterminds of this particular ring, or were they just pawns? That is something that the NIA will now have to look into. Is there a bigger plot, a bigger conspiracy that needs to be unearthed so that India is safe from this entire nexus, from this entire conspiracy? To break this down and to put this in more perspective, former IPS officer Yashovardhan Azad joins us on this broadcast. And sir, I'd like to begin by asking you, there are many in this country who would say this threat of radicalization, of ISIS radicalization, is an exaggerated one. But ever so often we are presented with cases like these, and details like these then come to the fore. Do you still think it is an exaggerated thing and it's something that we shouldn't be alarmed by?
No, I think this is an ongoing exercise. You would recall that when the ISIS was at its height, then we had interrogation of the youth from Kerala, and who had revealed a lot of secrets. Some of them had gone to these places, the so-called, where they were waging the Islamic war, and some of them had come back, and some of them had died also over there. And they had, elaborated upon the ISIS propaganda machine, how it goes on the internet. So I'm not surprised that these three people who are absolutely radicalized, and internet is one of their, methods of doing it. It's in continuum. Now there might be a conflict that how many people did go from India. Some people say that, well, it's minimal. Some people say it's probable that we don't know the exact estimate, the accurate figures. Nobody knows. But yes, there were people who being radicalized. Some of them did not go out of fear or caution, and also some of the anti-radicalization measures taken by the various governments. In this particular case, I congratulate the NIA, and as you have described, the pattern seems to be the same. The use of the internet, the purchase of the arms, the aim to spread the Sharia rule. But I have a feeling that these are the pawns. The real people who are the handlers are, of course, outside. There must be a kind of a planning for them. As you said, they could be going to Syria. They could be passing off the handle here to some of the other new recruits. But yes, in the end, my prognosis would be, well, I would not say that the ISIS game plan can anyway sort of destabilize our security paradigm, because we have a terrific security grid. But a constant watch needs to be kept all the time for such aberrations, and for these happening it happens in usual cycles. And so now that we have one, we should absolutely be on the alert for the future.
Absolutely. Like I said right at the beginning, it's not something perhaps that sends us into a tizzy, but our guard definitely has to be up. We cannot dismiss the threat altogether, because that threat is very much present and it's clear. But, Mr. Azad, we've seen at least the South Indian states, the Southern Indian states that are prone to such kind of things. That we've noticed that as far as these modules have been busted, say, from Kerala or from Tamil Nadu. But this one coming to the fore from Madhya Pradesh. So it's not area specific, so to say, which is why the monitoring and the crackdown needs to be done equally, on an equal footing across the country. But do you think that this monitoring or the crackdown gets affected because many a times we don't even recognize the problem? How can then we effectively fight a problem that we don't even recognize?
Yes, somehow there appears to be, first is, to wish away a reality. And second is to not recognize it. So at least we are not wishing away the reality, because now we have an organization like the NA, which is led by a very, very capable officer, Dinkar Gupta. And the other is the kind of a narrative which is being built around, even if you have incidents, you sort of question the state, you question the police, question the action. I think that's ridiculous. The pieces picked up by the NIA in all the cases. You know, there are so many of these. You know, earlier on also, from Bombay, whether it was Al-Qaeda, whether it was the other modules which they had picked up. Each one had a trail, each one had a sequencing, and each one led to something. So I think in this particular case, again, it will be foolish to say, to negate this entire thing. And I would say that such ISIS modules could be picked up. You're absolutely right. Madhya Pradesh is a highly communally sensitive area. I belong to that cadre. Certain districts are defined as hypersensitive, medium sensitive, and low sensitive, and things like that. There are places in UP. You know, these are the vulnerable areas. There are places in Bihar, along the border, in Bengal. So we can't say that it is area specific at all. In fact, we have to keep a much, much closer look now because of the vulnerability. The elections are coming. When do these modules strike? When do these terror tanzeems strike? They strike at big occasions, whether it's elections, whether it's Independence Day. So I would say it is time to be very, very careful. And NIA has done a great job.
Absolutely. Yashovardhan Azad, I request you to stay on with me because that is one aspect of this. The ISIS module that has been thwarted, that has been unearthed and the investigation is on. That's a terror plot. That's been investigated by the most premier agency in this country. But that's not the only threat we face. We live in a digital world where scams and loots often find you in the digital space. But it looks like it's not just limited to scams and frauds. Unfortunately, as learned from the Ghaziabad incident where a conversion racket was busted in the digital space, specifically on gaming apps and portals. Their target is unassuming innocent children and teens, minors who spend hours together on some of these gaming apps. Now, for their families, the only complaint perhaps was the amount of time their kids spent in front of a computer. But that was until now, because this case has blown the lid off how these apps and how these gaming portals have become an open ground to lure and trap victims and attempt to forcibly convert them. Now, an FIR in this case was registered on the 30th of May. The main accused was finally nabbed yesterday from another state altogether, kilometers away. Here's how the mastermind was actually nabbed. Now, whether he's a mastermind or he's just a pawn, that's again up to investigation. But remember, it was an FIR in Ghaziabad, like I said, that was filed on the 30th of May, about 12 days ago. That's when the entire case came to the fore. That was in Ghaziabad, here in the National Capital Region. Shift focus now to Mumbai in the Thane district of Maharashtra, where this accused was a resident of. His residence was found there. There were raids conducted, but Shahnawaz Khan, the main accused, was nowhere to be found. His location then was tracked to another part of Mumbai, that is in Worli. The location was tracked, but then again, he evaded the police. He managed to slip under the radar once again, but not until long. Finally, he was tracked down to Alibag in Maharashtra, where he fled from Mumbai too. He hid in a local lodge. There's CCTV footage that shows him going in and out of that lodge as well. We have pictures of the kind of documents he used to find refuge in that local lodge. He was finally arrested after overnight raids that were conducted by the Ghaziabad police, by the Thane police, all in connection, all in together working to ensure that this conversion racket is busted. Now, here's how the accused was actually tracked down. This is how the investigating agencies actually closed in on him. Now, Shahnawaz Khan bought a new SIM card not too long ago. Thane police tracked his location based on that particular SIM card. The location was then tracked to Alibag, like I said. There were 2 teams that were formed. 5 cops were assigned to the task of tracking him down. Lodges and cottages were searched in Alibag. Now, remember, Alibag is a coastal town. It's where a lot of tourists flock. So there are a lot of hotels, there are a lot of cottages, beachside ones at that are prevalent there. All of them had to be raided over the course of time. The police held Shahnawaz and his brother from a lodge. He was not alone. The accused and his brother used a different identity for obvious reasons. They were trying to evade police's radar. The police also detained the SIM card provider. Was the SIM card procured giving false documents? That's also something that the cops will have to look at, which is why the man who provided them with the SIM card is also now under arrest. Here's what interrogation so far in this case has revealed. This is what Shahnawaz Khan has told the police so far. He's revealed to them that he contacted the victims through an online game. It's called Fortnite. It's a very popular game. There are mobile numbers that were then shared by victims over a period of time when trust was built. Once the mobile numbers were shared, then communication began on another platform. This is called Discord. There were chats of that we've accessed here on CNN News 18 as well. Then there was another gaming app that was used. It's called Valorant. The gaming app was used to make contact with these victims. All of this started by December 2021. So this racket has been going on since then. There's something called an ice box. It's a level of a game where you reach, and once you reach there, that is when the accused knew that these victims had to be lured in. The victims were told about religious conversions once they reached that particular level called the ice box in this game. There were Zakir Naik's speeches that were shared with victims either on the app or through WhatsApp. There were links that were shared as well. That is how unassuming children, teenagers were trapped. They were told about jihad, they were told about Islam, and that's how this accused was trying to lure them and forcibly convert them. Was he doing this alone? Perhaps not. There's logistical support that's required to be doing this. He was sitting in Maharashtra and Mumbai, and of course this game is being played across the country, across the world as well. He could be targeting certain people. Were they picked at random? Were they being targeted for who they were? All of that is going to be a matter of investigation. Former IPS officer Yashovardhan Azad continues to be with us. Jiten Jain, cybersecurity expert, also joining me, and Hindu human rights activist Rashmi Samant also joins us. And Jiten Jain, let me get you in first. You know, this is not any online portal. It's a game. There are unassuming children there. Many adults, of course, also play these games, but these are minors who wouldn't know what really is happening with them. They're perhaps taking whatever is being said to them on face value. These are people that they've been playing with perhaps for months or years together.
Look, Poonam, the gaming apps are now a new emerging threat for encrypted communication, which is being used by terrorist sympathizers, and religious extremists. Now, the problem here is that, see, in any sort of, if you want to use internet or these apps for terrorism or extremism, the fundamental problem these people are trying to solve is the contact. Now, these gaming apps have become a very, has provided a very innocent alibi to establish an unknown contact, where you come in, contact with random people in the disguise of playing a game. And mind you, most of these games are violent games like PUBG and all. And once you start playing, because they're multi-player games, once you start playing together as a team, you develop a sort of virtual bond and trust, and you play for months and years, and you're in a way, and while you are playing, you're chatting live, you're talking to each other as a team, what to shoot, whom to shoot, where to hide. So over a period of 5-6 months, you would see these people develop a very, close a group of trust, where they share their personal lives, they talk about each other, they share their thought process, ideas, their views about politicians, religions, and everything.
Yes.
And because they are playing violent games all the time, there is a the inherent acceptance to carry out violence themselves in the real life. Now, since these games, most of them are provide encrypted chatting opportunities, and most of them are not regular apps we use like Instagram and WhatsApp. So they stay out of the radar of intelligence agencies, security agencies, and in many of the cases, or most of the cases, I would say, we don't even know who runs these gaming companies, where the servers are hosted, who's responsible, who's accountable. Is there any law enforcement contact available? Are they run by Chinese agencies? Are they run by Pakistani agencies like ISP? Merely as a disguise of propaganda, or are they actually a game which are being misused? So we have absolutely no idea. So in the absence of any regulation of gaming industry, in the absence of any surveillance capability over the encrypted chats these games provide, I think it is becoming very, very difficult for intelligence agency to keep a watch, and it has provided a very easy alibi to this terror nexuses and extremists to carry out unidentified contact with random people, especially children and minors who are in early teenage, and slowly poison and brainwash their mind and drag them towards religious extremist ideologies. And one fine day you will find even if 1% of these people are converted towards religious extremism, even if a small fraction of them pick up arms, it becomes a problem.
Absolutely.
So I think the first thing what we need to do is we need to carry out a substantive or a comprehensive gaming regulation in India. We need whitelist apps. We need to, the way we are trying to regulate news websites, we are trying to regulate,
this is a new realm. This is a new realm for law enforcement agencies as well. These are new challenges that will come up, and we need new ways to combat it as well. But Rashmi Samant, as far as
Poonam, worse is that forget intelligence agencies, even parents are not even able to carry out, oversight in their homes. They don't even know what games children are playing.
Yes.
There is a problem of addiction. there is a problem of violence, and especially in a game like PUBG. And despite of a sitting ban by Indian government, current ban, this game has gone on for 2 years. Throwing away all laws, all bans into the dustbin, making a real mockery of government laws, government
Absolutely,
orders.
and now that
there is
facets
no one
like
who's
these,
accountable. There
facets
is no
of
one who
religious
is
conversion
responsible.
are now coming to the fore that perhaps needs a better management, better mechanism to deal with this. And Rashmi Sawant, coming back to this particular issue as far as religious conversion is concerned, we hear these tales coming to the fore ever so often. You know, these are children that are brainwashed, minors that are brainwashed by not someone who's done this for years together. The accused in this case, Shahnawaz Khan, himself is a 23-year-old.
Exactly. I think there's a huge problem in which way this is being, put forth in our society. I think this is a new brand of psychological warfare that we are seeing, spreading like cancer all around society. And the people indulging in these are also people who are brainwashed into doing this. They are young people too. I think it goes on to say a lot about how deep the network is and how invested it is in making this happen. They're finding people, who are the same age so that they can relate with the victims they're choosing, and the amount of planning that is going into, making sure that these malicious activities go on is on another level. I think we are not even beginning to, grasp the magnitude of the problem that it is right now, or it will become in the near future. Because the youth, by the end of the day, they are the future of our nation. And their well-being, their state of mind, and their psychology is very important to ensure and secure the future of our nation. So I think this is extremely worrisome, and the fact that they are targeting our youth seems to be, the new frontier of psychological warfare. Gone are the days when we demarcated our borders with, physical boundaries, where we protected our boundaries with physical posts and arms. I think it's seeped to a level where they're trying to affect the very psychology of our young people. And this is not just, I think, something that we see here in India. This is being observed across the world. When I was studying abroad, I saw this sort of attempt being made at young children of different communities, on and to radicalize them and to bring them onto these radical manifestos. I think the regulation needs to come in at multiple levels. Parents, teachers, schools, and all kinds of influence that exist in the life of a young person in this country need to be guided, need to be educated on the evils and on the sort of circumstances of these incidents, so that everybody is wary of these incidents and there's enough information hands-on, so that the youth do not fall prey, or if they're showing any tendencies, the people around them do have the capabilities to sense them and to give them the necessary help.
Absolutely. And Yashovardhan Azad, is it possible that he was just a pawn? This 23-year-old was just a pawn in the hands of a puppeteer that was orchestrating this entire thing, because so far the police believed he was the mastermind. But the details that are now coming to the fore, the kind of racket that was running, it's hard to believe that he was doing this by himself.
No, not at all. In fact, I read from your piece in the CNN or something that there was a Maulvi who was collaborating with him, and he has already been successful in converting 3. What is really shocking in this particular case is that a person with 23-year-old, so internet savvy, I mean, such a professional and an intelligent guy, and is so heavily radicalized to that extent that not only committing himself to these acts, but also bringing other people into the fold. And that is something really shocking. And I think the entire police force will sort of sit up of all the states. In new age policing, technology is the critical factor. Today we are with the digital technology, that the way we have gone so advanced, we are also facing the other side of the wrath of the digital technology. And that's why you see frauds happening on the internet, these banking frauds and all these issues. The police is really grappling with it and needs to have a real more and more cybersecurity sentinels, and also collaboration with the industry. I also agree with Ms. Rashmi, a good point, that a societal response is also called for. Even kids 7 years old, when you go to neighbors' houses, you see them. They are busy on the internet, they are busy on mobiles, and perhaps the whole day, the entire exercise is through internet. Their whole language, their mode of behavior is expressed through internet. In such a case, I think the vulnerability is very, very high, and especially when it comes to the minors. And I would therefore say that apart from the societal response, there has to be a regulation, a proper, comprehensive regulation, which does not, sort of gaggle or the gaming apps, but a fair one. There should be a wide interaction, and then come up with a proper so that we don't have this kind of incidents.
Absolutely. And we have to ensure, like I said, when Jiten Jain was also speaking, we need a new mechanism because we're dealing with newer challenges. This is something that we hadn't seen so far. But Rashmi Samant, having said that, this kind of radicalism that we've seen, we may be seeing it on a different front, on a new front, but the pattern is pretty much the same. Do you think in this particular case then, these victims that were lured based on whom this FIR was filed, were they picked at random? Or was there a concerted effort to try and target certain people?
Well, I think we've seen a trend wherein, misinformation, misguided notions have been repeatedly used to target indigenous people across the world. And we've seen that in India, especially, this has been directed at the dharmic religions, mainly the Hindus, the Sikhs, the Jains, and the Buddhists. They've been targeted time and again with these kinds of notions. Earlier, it was the sort of forceful conversion that came their way, and now you see the more subtler ways wherein people are brainwashed using God knows what technique, where they prey on insecurities of young people, where they prey on expectations and aspirations of young people in a very misappropriated, misinformed way, in a way to manipulate their feelings. You can see clearly here how they were manipulating the ways in which the kids were winning games by saying that you won the game because, you were reciting a certain part of a holy book or something like that. So that kind of a premise was set in. So that is clearly trying to, push, trying to bait young people. So this kind of a pattern was also observed, if you see, in the Kerala story, where the young girls were told that if they certainly pray to a certain god, then probably no one's going to misbehave with them in public. So this kind of manipulation is being used, and you can see that it is being used both virtually and
and they're trying to target the young. It's easier perhaps to brainwash them. They're trying to target them young. That's the bigger problem that we're now facing, which is why even the mechanism that we put in place, Jiten Jain, needs to start early. We have to ensure that we do try and end this menace and nip it right in the bud. But given, like you said, there are no regulations, so then how do we do that?
So I think first we have to inculcate a culture of digital parenting amongst families, so that children are not given a mobile phone without imparting basic digital hygiene. I mean, there has to be a family oversight in terms of how many hours you spend on mobile devices, and then the government's role come in. I think you have to regulate these gaming apps because they are becoming the root source of addiction, violent behavior among children. So I mean, China is doing it. Many European countries are doing this. So game like PUBG would be forced to set a time limit in a day that a ordinary user would not be able to play this game more than 45 minutes. Second, I think when you are allowing children to play games, let's say violent games, I mean, even in any sort of game among children, I don't think there is any need of encrypted chats. I think, first of all, in India, encryption for the games has to go, especially when minor children are being allowed to play, so that law enforcement agencies can do a proper, create a proper, surveillance mechanism over these chats. I think there is no justification for a game to allow encrypted chats. I mean, there is no state secret, there is no privacy here. You're just discussing a game. So even if you take off the encryption during the communication module, I think that would be a better step. Third, I think without I read a report last week that government of India is trying to, deciding to lift the ban on PUBG and give them a test trial for 3 months. I think without addressing the fundamental issues where when the game was banned, issue of addiction and the issue of violent behavior among children committing suicide after playing these games. I mean, emptying credit cards of parents to buy some points. I think without addressing this issue and especially supervise the Ministry of Health and Welfare,
Sure.
I don't think we should lift the bans on games like PUBG.
Sure, we should
These are
start
nothing
small,
but,
perhaps
a
small
wholesale
steps in the right
fuels of
direction, and that is
addiction.
really what is
Second,
required
they
as
have to
far
set up
as
an
regulating
office
these
here in
games are concerned. I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Jitenjan, but I'm completely out of time. I'll have to leave it at that. I thank you all for joining us here on this broadcast with your perspective. We are shifting focus now to West Bengal, where Panchayat elections have been declared in a single phase on the 8th of July. This has stirred a fresh round of politics. There's unfortunately a fresh round of violence as well. The process of filing nominations began on Friday. The BJP started raising questions over the amount of security and the fairness of the election in the first place. The opposition in the state, both the BJP and the Congress, quickly moved the Calcutta High Court. There was a hearing that was held today. They demanded online filing of nomination. They also wanted deployment of central forces in Bengal, among other issues, given the history of violence we've seen during elections in the state. The demands have sparked a fresh battle between the TMC and the BJP specifically. The Saffron Party accused the State Election Commission of acting under the behest of the ruling party. The TMC hit back. They said the BJP has a history of provoking, which is why we've seen the kind of violence that happens. Amid the political face-off, we've seen several instances just today, either of blockades, either of violence, a grim reminder of what happened in 2018. So who's stoking unrest in Bengal? Before we debate that, let me take you through all that's transpired so far. These are defining moments as far as this entire battle goes. The first video that I'm putting up for you is from a Kali Badi. It's from a Thakur Badi, a temple in West Bengal. The BJP accused the TMC of bringing in goons to foment trouble, but this was thwarted by the members of the Matua community who said that the sanctity of our temple cannot be played with. There's another video that was then put out where the TMC alleged that central forces accompanying BJP MP had stepped into the temple complex, the same temple which has become a focal point between the BJP and the TMC. They said that women devotees, including TMC's workers, were assaulted. They even alleged that the CISF men that stormed the temple on the instructions of the BJP didn't even have the courtesy to take off their footwear. That in itself was another insult, said the TMC. Then a video was released by the BJP where they claimed that their MLA was assaulted as they went to file a nomination. This was an MLA who was trying to help the local workers there to file their nomination. Look at him, blood trickling down from his head. That is the violence that we are going to be seeing in the run-up to the elections, is what the BJP alleged. Then another video surfaced where there was high drama that was witnessed in Hooghly. There was an altercation between the local police there and a BJP member of parliament, Lokit Chatterjee. She wanted to visit a nomination centre but was blocked by the police, and that ensured that there was an altercation there. She claimed that they were trying to enforce norms that shouldn't have been there in the first place. Another video then came to the fore where TMC alleged that their member of parliament, Shantaka Banerjee's convoy, was attacked by BJP. This happened in the Bankura area, is what the TMC alleged, where the pilot car that was accompanying her was damaged. She could have been attacked as well, said the BJP, said the TMC then. So the war of words continued. But this is just the beginning. We're still weeks away from Panchayat elections there. What more do we have in store? Which is why the focus is going to be on what the court decides. Remember, the Calcutta High Court started hearing the case today, but they have reserved their order. Remember, they also had asked the State Election Commission to submit a report on why exactly they had chosen the set dates and whether or not they could extend the timeline as is being demanded. To which the State Election Commission submitted its report. They said that the date of filing nomination can be extended by a day. We can make it until the 16th of June, is what the State Election Commission came out and said. To which the court had a few proposals of its own to put forth. The High Court said that we propose the postponing of the polling date to 14th of July instead of 8th. The court also asked if the dates for nominations can be changed to June 15th to June 21st. That will give them more time, barring holidays, barring weekends. The High Court also proposed the nomination time should be extended until 5 p.m. All of this are just proposals. There's no directive yet from the High Court. The hearing has been reserved. Whether it resumes tomorrow or not, we'll have to wait and watch out for. But the politics, meanwhile, continues even on the sidelines. The BJP alleges that the State Election Commission is working under the instructions of the TMC, of the ruling party. To which the TMC simply says that all the BJP wants to do is push dates of these elections because they do not have enough candidates. The BJP says that there is a very small window to file nomination and that is being done on purpose by the TMC is what the BJP alleges. To which the TMC says that they have no candidates to field against the TMC, which is why the BJP is finding excuses. Then comes the matter of security in the state. The BJP alleges that they need central security forces at these booths given the history of the state. To which the TMC says there's absolutely no need. State police can ensure free and fair and peaceful elections. That assurance coming to the fore from the state government. The BJP has also then said that CCTV cameras need to be installed at polling booths so we know that if there is an incident, then what exactly transpired and the truth is in black and white. To which the TMC says that the polls can happen under police supervision. There's absolutely no need for all these extra additions, for these extra costs perhaps to be borne and the logistical issues that it's going to pose. The Panchayat elections have been a matter of debate in West Bengal, not just this year, but every single year. Why do these matter so much? It is the curtain raiser before the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. It is going to be a litmus test for all parties involved, the TMC, the BJP, the Congress, and of course the left, which is perhaps a fringe, not just in West Bengal, but many other states in the country as well, is what many would believe. Another reason why these Panchayat elections are extremely important is because it's going to determine if the TMC is battling anti-incumbency. The Panchayat elections decide the local stronghold, the local strength of a party, which is why the TMC would want to ensure that they have the tide with them. A setback for the TMC could impact Mamata Banerjee's bid of opposition unity for 2024 as well, because it is all about the optics too. Another reason why this is extremely important is this will assess the success of Abhishek Banerjee's Jan Sanyog Yatra. Remember, Abhishek Banerjee is touted to be the successor to Mamata Banerjee. He has been touring the state. He has been trying to unite the party cadre, trying to garner support for the party ahead of 2024 as well. So it's a litmus test of his leadership too. TMC netas, including Abhishek Banerjee, many of them face allegations of corruption. If this win comes to the fore for the TMC, optics-wise, they would have beaten that charge. They would have come out shining. After desertion of top netas, this is going to be a big test for the BJP. Another reason why this is very, very important is because it's a test for Suvendu Adhikari's 2024 poll strategy as well. It is going to determine whether the left has managed to regain any of its ground-level cadres back from the BJP. That's another very, very important thing that would come out of these elections. Which is why it's not just a local election in the state of West Bengal. There is a lot at stake. So why exactly are we seeing violence just a few days after the dates were announced? What is this entire political brouhaha about? That's the big debate tonight.
उस बंगाल में जहां ममता दीदी की सरकार हो वो बंगाल जल रहा है, साथ ही जल रही है बंगाल की अस्मिता, बंगाल की पहचान, बंगाल की शान, बंगाल का नाम, और जलाने का काम कर रहा है ममता दीदी और उनके वहां के लोग।
बंगाल में कानून बोल के कुछ नहीं है, यहाँ जो रूल ऑफ लॉ नहीं चलता है, जो रूलर है उसका लॉ ही चलता है।
এরা ভাবছে আমরা যা ইচ্ছা তাই করব না, যখন চাইবো টাকা বন্ধ করে দেবো, যখন চাইবো কেন্দ্রীয় বাহিনীকে জুতো পরে মন্দিরের ভিতর ঢুকিয়ে দেবো। বাপের সম্পত্তি নাকি পৈতৃক সম্পত্তি?
सेंट्रल फोर्स वो जूता पहन के मंदिर में घुस के वो लोग अभिषेक को मंदिर में घुसने से वो रोकने की कोशिश की।
Shantanu Thakur did with the help of central forces was totally wrong.
Shishir Bajoria, spokesperson of Bengal BJP, joins us on this broadcast. Spokesperson of the TMC, Riju Datta, is with me as well. Pratim Ranjan Bose, political analyst, joins us on this broadcast as well. And let me get started by asking spokesperson of the TMC, Riju Datta. We have the High Court hearing the case. It's perhaps going to come up back tomorrow or day after. There are no clear directions as such. But the High Court has sort of hinted that perhaps more leeway needs to be given as far as the nomination filing is concerned or pushing off the elections are concerned. Is that something the State Election Commission is ready to look at?
See, let me be very honest. What the High Court decides is their prerogative. I'm not here to comment on that. But why do you want to defer the dates? Why? This is the question. Because if you see the official records of State Election Commission, as of yesterday evening 6 p.m., then you will see the opposition parties like BJP, Congress and CPM have filed more nominations than the ruling party Trinamool Congress. So obviously they are not getting beaten up. Obviously the democracy is prevailing. Obviously law and order prevails in Bengal, unlike the 34 years of the left regime. What we are witnessing, what your channel is showing, is one or two incidents in a huge state like, in a large state like West Bengal. But overall, the numbers speak for itself. There is complete law and order. There is peace. BJP is going in mass numbers. They are filing their nominations en masse. CPM is doing it. Congress is doing it. And they have filed more nominations than Trinamool Congress. Yesterday, what happened in the Thakurbari Mandir, today morning, a BJP spokesperson with me in a debate said, we have not allowed Abhishek Banerjee to enter the Mandir because he's a Mathua Mandir, because he's a Brahmin and a Hindu. So is BJP now anti-Hindu, anti-Brahmin? I don't know. So the bottom line is, because the opposition parties are so politically bankrupt, they want to do some sort of circus, some sort of mockery, some
but
sort
Riju
of
Datta, are the fears of violence
headlines.
completely exaggerated? You may say there are only isolated incidents today and in the recent past, but this has only happened, the process only began since Friday. And there is history of violence in the state of West Bengal. And I would like to get in Shishir Bajoria as well. At least 14 people died during violence in elections in 2018. Shishir Bajoria, why do you think then the TMC says that it's the BJP that provokes?
Well, first of all, just to put the scorecard in front, today was only day 3 of the nomination. Day 1, 1 death. Day 1, 80% of the BDO said we are not even prepared to accept the nomination because it's been sprung, the government commission has sprung a surprise on us. Day 2, a revolver was recovered. And what happens? The police does not even ask for remand of the person. By the way, we have heard on television one of the cop standing there saying, "Tum bhag kyun nahi rahe ho," in Bengali. Finally, when the guy was caught, he is in judicial custody, not even in police custody. Revolver found on him. Day 3, candidate kidnapped in Uttar Dinajpur in Chopra. BJP party office burned. And this point that BJP has filed a lot of nominations, CPM, look, TMC has not. And Rijubabu possibly knows, if not, let me tell him, that TMC in most cases has not announced its candidates, and that is why they are possibly going to do a storm tomorrow and day after. But the most important point is the nomination of the election commissioner was on the 7th afternoon. 8th morning he takes charge. 8th evening he announces the poll, and by the way, political parties were informed at 9:22 p.m. The email we received was 9:22. Notification next morning, and with the notification starts the nomination process.
Sure.
And all this, what's the hurry? The panchayats, existing panchayats do not run out till end of August. End of August. What is the hurry? There's only one hurry: take the opposition by surprise, because the party in power knows the schedule.
Sure. So it's the TMC, Riju Datta, that is orchestrating this entire thing.
Now, my humble question to your viewers is that whenever the election commissioner is appointed, whenever he has announced the polls, or whatever time limit he has given, all that applies to Trinamool Congress as well. It is not that it only applies to the opposition. So my humble submission is that if the opposition are not politically bankrupt, if they have their candidates that they can fight democratically and electorally in Bengal, then why are they cribbing? Why are they being a crybaby? Because as per again I will reiterate my point, as per the records of the last 2 days, it is the BJP who has filed more nominations than TMC. So why are you being a crybaby? And the examples of one-off incident examples that Shishir Babu is giving for the entire state of West Bengal, I don't know why Shishir Babu forgot to mention that the TMC party office in Birbhum district has been captured by BJP and freshly painted with a coat of saffron. So, things like this happen in one or two places. The law and order will take its course and they are making sure that nothing untoward happens. But just by pointing out specific incidents and maligning the state of West Bengal is in very poor state, Shishir Babu. Is in very poor taste.
Madam, can I come in? Can I give a quick rebuttal?
Go ahead, Mr. Bajoria.
First of all, my friend, he should know that the State Panchayat Election Act says it's the state government which decides the date. It's the state government. State government is run by a party. The party in power is called Trinamool Congress. Well, they are no more All India, but that's okay. That's besides the point. This Trinamool Congress runs. So if the spokesperson says it's the same for everyone, well, I think it's a little difficult to believe. And you know what? One incident, already day 3, one dead body there. We have seen in these 3 days of nomination what we normally see on poll day. 2018, what we saw on poll day. And by the way,
20 seconds,
of
please.
Birbhum, about Birbhum, what did your police do? That's what we are saying. Your police is not there. It's inadequate. You have so politicized it, they don't even know which side what to do. If BJP has done wrong, stop BJP, catch BJP. आपको मना कौन कर रहा है भाई?
Riju Datta, your party has quick rebuttal, 30 seconds before I get in Mr. Bose as well. But Riju Datta, your party has been in power in the state for 3 terms. Can you then keep pointing into the direction of the BJP saying they provoke? If they are provoking, then it's your job to ensure that they do not and that law and order situation is maintained.
Yes, Poonam, but you have to also understand that from the 34 years of the left regime, violence and bloodshed has become a culture of Bengal. It's a work in progress. In 11 years, from that bloodshed and hundreds of dead bodies, we have come down. We're trying to maintain peace and law and order in the state. But let me just quickly rebut the points that BJP has raised in the Calcutta High Court. First, they want CCTV in the booths. Okay, very good. You had CCTV in the booths in the 2021 Vidhan Sabha elections. You want central forces. You had central forces in the 2021 Vidhan Sabha elections. What is the result? What was the result? Now, who bears the cost of all this, of the logistics central forces? Tax-paying citizens. Tax-paying citizens. So basically, you do not have the cadre base. You are politically bankrupt. You don't have any local standing in Bengal. You just want to create a ruckus and a circus to stay relevant in headlines. And then you will go on to malign the ruling government and malign the state. This is very wrong. I believe you go file your nominations. If anybody stops you, you call up Trinamool Congress, you call up the State Election Commission, they will file your nomination. We will go and help you file your nomination.
We will call up Trinamool Congress.
Yes, you call Shishir Babu. If anybody in your party faces problem, you call me.
Yes,
you know me personally. I will go and file his nomination.
Riju, just to let you know, you know what your chief secretary did. You know what your chief secretary did. He's my chief secretary also. You know what he did? He issued an order where he gives a phone number for grievances. And do you know which is that grievance number? It is the Trinamool grievance number of Didi Ke Bolo. This is what the chief secretary has done in an order. He has given the grievance number which will go to Trinamool Congress.
Shishir Babu, you are making one small mistake. You are making one very small mistake. Didi is just not the leader of Trinamool Congress. She is also the Honorable Chief Minister of West Bengal, my Chief Minister, and your
she's my Chief Minister also. She's my Chief Minister also. The Chief Secretary had asked for a different number, which would have gone for Shorashori Mukhyamantri, but then somebody prevailed on him. He changed his mind, and it became Didi Ke Bolo. Didi Ke Bolo is your party program. It's not Chief Minister of West Bengal's program.
I will only say this, Poonam. Lastly, I will only say this to your viewers. I hope that the High Court allows whatever BJP is asking for.
Sure.
Because then what will happen is they will not have any legs to stand on. Nach na jane angan tera. CCTV.
Sure. So who exactly is provoking whom? What are they stoking unrest? I request you gentlemen to stay on with me. Pradeep Ranjan Bose has been patiently waiting and listening to what you've been saying. Pradeep Ranjan Bose, we've seen the kind of violent history, unfortunately, Bengal has seen, especially as far as elections go. So the kind of demands that are being made of more time to ensure logistical support of central forces being there, are those claims completely outrageous? Are those demands completely outrageous?
No, not at all. If you look at the number of police and the number of booths, number of police, including all clerical, IGs and whatever, there has to be 1.5 allotment per booth. 1.5 police. Remember, that is, you are taking the entire police to manage the booths. So that's a non-feasible kind of situation. Now the government must be knowing everything. Why did they announce it? So, see, it is abnormal that an election commissioner will take charge and the next day it starts and straight away into the nomination process. So, there has not been any meeting with parties, etc. Anyway, they say that there is no rule like that. There is no rule, but there is a decorum, there is a process. So, forget about that part. It is understood why this is done in this manner. Because it gives always, whoever is in the ruling party, they try to take some advantage because they have the knowledge of the schedule or whatever. They do have some advantage. But here, the quick, it is to try to hold it in one quick stroke. The biggest reason lies in the very fact what Mr. Datta has been pointing out, that Trinamool hasn't filed a nomination. See, if you may remember, the whole call of Mr. Banerjee was to restructure Trinamool, and he's kept on speaking in these lines in his meetings. I can guarantee you, if it was done in a process which is generally accepted, by this time, you would have seen, it is Trinamool versus Trinamool violence would have been at the forefront.
Sure.
And when we see at the total violence, as a Bengali, I am very ashamed to say this, but I have to say, because you call always on this violence and these days, whatever we are seeing this year, in a very negative sense, is better than 2018, simply because in 2018, the opposition was not allowed, period. Everyone knows what happened.
Sure.
This time, what we are seeing is not welcome, but is interesting. I am surprised that BJP got so many people to file nominations.
Sure.
And remember, this is fact that even on day 3, many people are going to file nomination and coming back because the people over there are not ready. This is a fact. I'm telling you, this is...
So nominations are happening, the process is happening. Unfortunately, we are still seeing violence that's coming to the fore, blockade as the BJP alleges as well. The war of words continues between all parties, especially between the BJP and the TMC. Whether it's advantage BJP or TMC is besides the point. It should be advantage the people of West Bengal. That's really where the bottom line should be as far as any election goes. And that's the bottom line that should be as far as these elections go as well. But I'm completely out of time. I thank you all gentlemen for joining us here on this broadcast with your perspective. We are slipping into a quick break here on this edition. Back in just a few.
জুতো পরে মন্দিরের ভিতর ঢুকিয়ে দেবো বাপের সম্পত্তি নাকি পৈতৃক সম্পত্তি? শান্তনু ঠাকুর যদি ভেবে থাকে যে আমি অভিষেক বন্দ্যোপাধ্যায়কে আটকাবো আর অমিত শাহকে পা চেটে ঢোকাবো, আগামী দিন মানুষ জবাব দেবে। আমি মানুষের উপর ছেড়ে দিয়ে যাচ্ছি।
We're crossing over to CNN News 18's Kamalika Sengupta to get us more details on this. Kamalika, can you tell us about who is for and against the demand for central forces during the Panchayat polls and what the reasoning is?
See, this is actually this total incident happened. Abhishek Banerjee is in Sanjog Yatra, Navjoar Yatra for the last 2 months. He is going to every district. Now, his yatra was going in North 24th Pargana, where this Thakurbari is. Now, what is Thakurbari? Thakurbari is this temple of Mathua community, and Mathua community is very strong in this area, bordering areas, and around 60 constituencies. They are very strong. They are the people who came from Bangladesh, the Hindu minority people who came from Bangladesh, who are absolutely the backward classes, and they worship this. They have this temple here. Now, this temple, this now Mathura vote is very important. And Abhishek Banerjee, because Thakurbari was in his way, every politician who goes there goes to Thakurbari. Now, Shantanu Thakur, who is a descendant of Thakurbari, he is a minister of BJP. Now, there were some protests by the BJP people, the BJP MLA, and all of them were there. They were trying to stop, that's what the local reporters are saying, they were trying to stop Abhishek Banerjee to enter into the temple. Now, Shubhendu Adhikari comes up with a tweet where he puts up a video and says that the temple area, some people came and they actually done something wrong in the temple area. He wanted Amit Shah's interference on this. On the other hand, Trinamool comes up with a video where they show that CISF Jawans who were with Shantanu Thakur, they with boot entered the temple.
As the political face-off continues over the Panchayat elections in West Bengal, the state's election commission will be submitting its report today over the requirement of central forces during the Panchayat polls. Now, the Calcutta High Court had issued a directive to see whether the calendar of polls can be reorganized or not, since opposition has claimed that less time has been given for filing nominations. Now, meanwhile, a war of words has erupted between the TMC and the BJP after ruckus took place outside of a temple in Bengal over TMC leader Abhishek Banerjee's visit. Major chaos had broken out between the supporters of the TMC leader Abhishek Banerjee and supporters of the Union Minister of State of Ports, Shipping and Waterways, Shantanu Thakur, and members of the Mathura Mahasangh. Now, Banerjee had said that the central security personnel who guard Shantanu Thakur and his brother Subrata, a BJP MLA, had attacked and heckled women TMC workers.
चुनाव सही वक्त पर होना है। गांव का चुनाव, पंचायत चुनाव, गांव का सरकार है। ये विद इन जुलाई कराना कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, ये वेलकम है। चुनाव का तारीख ऐलान करने का कम से कम एक हफ्ता पहले ऑल पार्टी मीटिंग, वन स्टेट लेवल, वन डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल, वन ब्लॉक लेवल, एसडीओ लेवल भी हुआ है। फॉर्म नहीं था। इतना छुपा छुपा के पंचायत चुनाव का प्रोसेस जारी करने का इसका मकसद क्या है? बहुत खतरनाक कदम है विदाउट द कंसेंट ऑफ दिस फैमिली। अपने पावर की, स्टेट का जो पावर है उसके ऊपर उन्होंने घुसने का कोशिश किया है। ये तरीका अच्छा नहीं है। एज ए मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट उसको जाने का पहले ठाकुरबाड़ी का इजाज़त लेना चाहिए था और एक लेटर भी भेजना चाहिए था और ठाकुरबाड़ी का जो प्रैक्टिस है विदाउट फ्लैग जाना चाहिए था। हैट्स ऑफ टू द कम्युनिटी, ये लोग ने खुलकर विरोध किया। जो विरोध बंगाल का दूसरा प्रांत में करने के लिए माने एनवायरनमेंट भी नहीं है और क्षमता भी नहीं है।
देखिए, वो एक अनाउंस प्रोग्राम था, वो जो नवजुआर चल रहा है अभिषेक का मेन प्रोग्राम था, पॉलिटिकल प्रोग्राम था हावड़ा में। लेकिन अभिषेक का जो नवजुआर है वो तो जनजुआर बन चुका है। तो इस जनजुआर में भयभीत होकर भाजपा ने आज किसी समर्थक, भाजपा कुछ लोग, वो लोग बहुत डिस्टर्ब किया। मंदिर, टेम्पल वो बंद करके रखा, स्लोगनिंग किया और सेंट्रल फोर्स वो जूता पहन के मंदिर में घुस के, वो जूता पहन के मंदिर में घुस के सेंट्रल फोर्स को यूज करके वो लोग अभिषेक को मंदिर में घुसने से वो रोकने की कोशिश की।
কেন্দ্রীয় বাহিনীর জওয়ান জুতো পরে ঠাকুরবাড়ির মন্দিরে প্রবেশ করেছে। আমি টুইট করেছি, ছবি আছে, দেখবেন।
Welcome back. In August last year, MT Heroic Yudun, an oil tanker, was stuck in Nigeria. On board were 16 Indian crew members. It was at the center of a legal dispute involving a number of charges like oil theft and false piracy allegations that were leveled against the Nigerian Navy. For 10 long months, they suffered, but all 16 of them have finally back home. This weekend, their prayers, their families' prayers have been answered. One of them, who was rescued and finally been repatriated, joins us on this broadcast. Vijit V, thank you so much for speaking with us here on The Right Stand. It's been a 9-month-long harrowing experience for you. You must be finally relieved to come back home. Can you tell us what kind of conditions you had to live in?
Yeah, actually, I'm not a spokesperson of my company. And the second thing, it's like detention is more and like prolonged fish is not there in Equatorial Guinea actually. In Nigeria, we are a bit comfortable. Actually, the Indian embassy, the High Commissioner of the India in Nigeria, Mr. Balasubramaniam sir, he plays a vital role throughout the detention which happened in Nigeria. And my company OSM did a tremendous job to release us by supporting in all manners. The thing is, like, the main concern of us is the health issues which we faced. Because myself been affected by malaria for the 3 times with typhoid also. And thing is, like, the medical system there is not good actually. So.
Sure, we know the conditions were really bad. You had to drink water from the toilets is also something that we've heard, those kind of videos that have been coming out. The company that you were working for, did they give any financial assistance to you or your families back home over the last 10 months?
Yes, ma'am. Obviously, ma'am. It's like the OSM Maritime is one of the leading shipping companies in the world, and they did a tremendous job. Actually, our salary is not at all pending. And they give our food and better all the times, like provision and food and everything. They arrange with their agents, and their agents also help us throughout the.
Now, a lot of diplomatic efforts were also made. The Indian government helped you out, your families out as well. How did that go?
Yes, ma'am. Indian government helped, ma'am, through the Indian embassy. Actually, with the Ministry of External Affairs having straight. Contact with the Indian embassy, which in Nigeria. Mr. Balasubramaniam, he is the High Commissioner for India in Nigeria. He is being contacted by us frequently, ma'am. Actually, frequently because of the release of our vessel. Also, thing is like the.
Sure. The intervention from New Delhi ensured that all 16 of you are back. The harrowing ordeal for you is finally over. With that, it's a wrap from my side. Zaka Jacob joins you next.
Good evening, this is Brass Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. The alleged mastermind of the gaming conversion racket, Shanavas alias Baddu, has been arrested. He was arrested from Alibag in Maharashtra a good 10 days after this case came to light. This is a pan-India network, the police says, which allegedly used to lure young kids who were playing video games, prey on vulnerable ones among them, and forcibly convert them to Islam. This has been brought to light about how your children are being targeted through gaming apps for the purposes of conversion. The point is, what are the lessons therein for parents out there who may be worried about their children who are 24/7 stuck on video game consoles? And will the full truth of who all were involved in this pan-India racket come out at all?
गाजियाबाद के 2 पुलिस कांस्टेबल और हमारी मुंद्रा पुलिस की टीम थी, उन्होंने जाके अलीबाग से आरोपी को अरेस्ट किया है।
खोखली दलील देते हुए वे कह रहे हैं कि गेमिंग ऐप से कोई धर्मांतरण नहीं होता। चुनावी राजनीति के लिए वे तुष्टीकरण की राजनीति को आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं।
So how exactly does this gaming app and forcible conversion through these gaming apps work? Let's take you through the steps taken by these radicals to try and indoctrinate children using these gaming apps. Number one, they target teenagers via a particular online game. It's a very popular one. It's called Fortnite, whereby the users come together. You are formed into teams of either 2 or 4. Step 2 is they get these users to recite verses from the Quran. This is incorporated as part of the game sometimes, and sometimes it's also incorporated as some kind of a reward. In order to win the game, you need to recite verses from the Quran. Once they identify potential victims, and they're always looking out for signs in these children, whether they have a good relationship with their parents, do their parents interact with them continuously. Anyone who is seen as vulnerable is indoctrinated continuously through the Discord chat app. Now, this entire racket, it came to light in Ghaziabad, in the National Capital Region. Reports suggest it extends across the country as well as internationally. Here are some of the details accessed by CNN News 18 as per top sources from the Uttar Pradesh police. There are chats, multiple chats between the accused, the main accused who's been picked up from Alibag in Maharashtra, as well as various victims. The WhatsApp and Discord chats reveal the strategy of indoctrination adopted by Shahnawaz and others who are running this racket. The accused allegedly guided victims to a nearby mosque to offer namaz. The victims, who are young teens, are then threatened if they do not offer namaz 5 times a day. The chats also allegedly show that these victims were pressurized even on days that they have examinations. The alleged code word that was used for namaz was gym time. So in one of the first FIRs filed in this case, the parent of one of the victims alleged that his son was going to the gym 5 times a day, and that's how he grew suspicious. The chat engine was allegedly bombarded with Zakir Naik's teachings. Remember, the controversial Islamic preacher who is barred from entering India. Zakir Naik's video links were allegedly shared during these gaming chats as well. Links of verses from the Quran were also allegedly shared through the Discord app. So the main accused, as per the police, is a man named Shahnawaz. He's all of 23 years old. He was nabbed from Alibag in Maharashtra. The accused managed to buy a new SIM card. Remember, since this case came to light, which was in late May, this man and his close associate have been on the run. The Thane police managed to track this SIM card and track the location of this SIM card to a lodge in Alibag. 2 teams were formed. There were 5 cops each who were assigned the task to nab Shahnawaz. Lodges and cottages in the Alibag area. Remember, it's a very popular tourist destination as well. All the lodges and cottages there were searched. The police managed to nab Shahnawaz and his brother from one of those lodges in Alibag. The accused and his brother were using a different identity since this case came to light in late May. The police also detained the provider of the SIM card. And now CNN News 18 has accessed more details of this investigation. The Ghaziabad police say they have received 5 complaints in all against the accused from different parts of India, including Ludhiana, Faridabad, and of course one from Malad in Maharashtra. The UP cyber cell of the police there, the forensic unit, has started the investigation into the finances behind this racket. At least 7 bank accounts are under the scanner. Anshul has more details on this. So Anshul, so money was also exchanged, because clearly if bank accounts are under the scanner, it was not just the inducement or forcible conversion to Islam, but also there was inducement through money.
So yes, as of now, there is one transaction that has happened between Shahnawaz and the kid who got converted. In fact, the complaint in that transaction was regarding a computer hardware part that he had outsourced from him in early January this year, is what we have been told. However, there are 7 bank accounts that have been found that have been linked to Shahnawaz and his close aides, when money, foreign money could be seen, the transactions of foreign money could be seen, and that is why the police suspect that this could be a larger nexus. At this point, the Ghaziabad police feels that they have won half the battle since they have gotten hold of the main accused Shahnawaz in the case. But yes, this is just the half the battle won, because there is a larger nexus that is operating, and that is something that is proving true by every passing minute as the investigation is going on. Till date, 5 children have been identified who were converted in this using the same modus operandi, whereas the police is looking out for other children who might have fallen trap to this nexus that has come to the fore. But yes, at this point in time, there are 5 kids, and Shahnawaz the Ghaziabad police has managed to seek transfer remand of Shahnawaz, and he's been brought back to Ghaziabad. But what sources are telling us that he will be kept in a dislocation location because there is a massive security threat that is threatening, and hence the Ghaziabad police is making sure that.
And very quickly, Anshul, I also want to know, what is the police telling you in terms of, are there other potential members of this gang? As of now, Shahnawaz and his brother have been arrested from Maharashtra, but are there others also who are part of this gang, who they're on the lookout for?
So yes, others, if you see, this is a conspiracy that transpires across borders, is what we are being told. There is a YouTube channel that operates from Pakistan. The videos from that YouTube channel were also shown to these kids. Also, Shahnawaz has some sort of his heads who are sitting out there in Dubai is also what the police suspect. So once the interrogation of Shahnawaz starts from tomorrow, we'll get to know the exact details, if at all, how many people were involved in this larger nexus that has been unearthed. Because remember, this is first of its kind of modus operandi that has been exposed by the Ghaziabad police, and hence they are seeing this as a big success at this point in time. But yes, the manner in which the investigation is going on, it is very, very probable that there are more people and more international players who are also involved in this entire nexus.
Anshul, we'll leave it at that. We'll see how the story plays out, both in Ghaziabad as well as in Mumbai. Let me now go across to our full panel that's joining us. Anila Singh, a spokesperson of the BJP, Tausif Ahmed Khan, is advocate and political analyst. Dr. Vikram Singh is former DGP of Uttar Pradesh. Khaliqur Rahman, political analyst from the BRS, is also joining us. Anila Singh, so this case apparently came to light on the 30th of May. The first FIR was filed. This was in the Kavinagar police station in Ghaziabad. The father of one of the victims, who happens to be a minor, went to the police and complained that his son was being lured into accepting Islam while he was playing an online game. And apparently it came to light because his son was saying that he was going to the gym 5 times every day. And then this father on one day grew suspicious, followed his son. Turns out his son was going to the Sector 23 Jama Masjid and not to the gym. What would you say to parents who are watching this? Obviously, a lot of parents who are watching this have kids who are playing video games. And it's a different world out there. You don't know, what these video games are, who your kids are talking to. What would you say to them in light of this case that has come to light?
My Ram to everyone. And Zaka, you're absolutely correct. As a parent, even I can appreciate that it is very difficult to keep track that in this blind world of web ki dunya, it is so difficult to track that what children are doing. Though parents, they try to do their best, that what they are doing, they try to keep the track, but still it is very difficult. I will say, at least parents should keep on checking the history, what their kids are doing on the net, on the web. It is very, very, at times if you talk about the teenagers, it becomes very difficult. They take it as a challenge. They think that parents are trying to intrude in their privacy, but it is for their own good. I think parents, they have to keep a check on their kids. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, if any clue comes out, I think they should not keep it to themselves. It should be immediately reported to the police, cyber police, and on the internet as well. Okay. So this is what I want to say, because it is not about, and it is not the matter of any of the political party or any of the sarkar. Yeah. It is a social ailment, I can say. And if I talk about the religion conversion mission which was going on, that is obnoxious. These people were targeting young brains. They were trying to brainwash them, lure them. This is very incorrect. This is a malice. That is absolutely incorrect. So we have to keep check on such.
Let me just give some details. I want to get Tausif Ahmed Khan also. Now, what the UP police are claiming, and they mentioned this in their submissions in court today as well, in the transit remand application that they moved. The alleged conversion racket started during the COVID lockdowns in 2020 when schools were shut. Teenagers were exposed to online classes. There were minors reportedly from Faridabad, Ludhiana, Maharashtra and Ghaziabad who virtually met this man, Shahnawaz, at a gaming platform called Fortnite. On these platforms, you can chat with fellow gamers, you have to team up with fellow gamers, and you have to win these games. The first alleged conversion, Tausif, came to light of a Jain boy from Ghaziabad. Now, the police say that after this game, the minors would chat, not just on Fortnite, but also the other messaging application called Discord. And it would start initially with innocent conversations about the game and strategies for the game, so on and so forth. And eventually, after a degree of familiarity was established, these children were then brainwashed into talk about Islam and accepting Allah and so on and so forth. Doesn't this worry you, the sinister nature of this, simply because, you know, most kids in their teens are on video games, one or the other, and most parents don't know what these video games are and who is there on these video games, and the fact that you can actually team up and chat with fellow video gamers, you have no idea what the antecedents of these fellow video gamers are.
You're absolutely right. As a parent, I would be concerned if kids start spending time on social media or on internet online gaming. I should be concerned, rightly. And like any other parent in the world should be concerned, because it's a dark world out there, as Anila Singh was saying. You know, an addiction of any kind, whether it is an addiction of with the game, online gaming, or addiction with smoking or with anything else, should be checked by the parents at home. And so far the claim, the case, or the allegation of the police is concerned, we all know that, you know, police have in the past come up with cases which turned out to be, you know, not so authentic, which turned out to be involving some innocent people. So, you know, that is part of the investigation that has to be seen after, you know, the court takes it into cognizance, after the witnesses are cross-examined. You know, the law itself, the scheme of the law, says that the police cannot be trusted for recording the statement correctly, as they may be self-serving in nature. If it is concerned, if police is concerned about the statements that they may have recorded from the people who they have arrested, you know, that cannot be relied upon, at least at this stage. Let the investigation continue. Yes. And on the other hand, I am absolutely with everyone, like any parent should be, to be very cautious, to be very watchful, and to keep their kids under constant watch about what they are doing online. There could be, financial scam going on. There could be lots of fraudster. You don't know what kind of world is there out in the web world. So, just like, you know, it's just you have to be cautious.
So let me then ask Vikram Singh, you know, what the Ghaziabad police are saying allegedly is that this main accused, this man Shahnawaz alias Baddo, the claim by the Ghaziabad police is that over the last 3 years since the COVID-induced lockdown, Baddo and his friends have converted at least 300 to 400 children across the country, particularly those who are spending a disproportionate amount of time on their mobile phones, on video games. They would lure them, first, of course, with innocent chatter about what was going on in the game, strategies about the game, so on and so forth. But eventually, it would move into religious conversations. The point is, could two people sitting out of a house in Mumbai have done this, supposedly by the Ghaziabad police, that 300 to 400 children over a 3-year period were allegedly converted?
Zaka, what you are witnessing is just the tip of the iceberg. The case is fresh, and the insidious and the nefarious activities of Shahnawaz alias Baddo is being monitored, no other than Ajay Mishra, Police Commissioner of Ghaziabad. I, for one, would not like to question the credibility or the integrity of the Ghaziabad Police's investigation, but it is a scary situation, and it is within the realm of distinct possibility that it is very much possible. And also, you will recall that Shahnawaz, in a perfect roadmap, indoctrinating children, picking out those who are trusting, those who are vulnerable, and feeding them on the nonsense of Zakir Naik, who speaks like God, and also other inflammatory material, and then trying to convert them. This is one part. Then getting money from Dubai and Pakistan. Do you think for a moment that it is possible for a lone wolf to do that? Certainly not.
Yeah.
There is a close, coordinated gang action, and it is a case where extra-national and those outside India are also planning India 2047 like the PFI. Do you not see the similarity between the PFI roadmap and the roadmap of Shahnawaz and the like? Obviously there is. And to get conversions of this manner, They have handlers sitting in Pakistan and Dubai who are guiding the lives of the unemployed.
But Vikram Singh Saab, before I go to Khaliqur Rahman, how easy or difficult would this be to prove in a court of law? These are so far, allegations made by the Ghaziabad police. They've managed to get a transit remand to the main accused. Of course, cross-questioning will happen, his interrogation will happen. Basis that they will build a case. But, this is going to be technologically arduous for them to be able to scan back and retrieve chats from 3 years ago. And that too, these are not WhatsApp chats. These are chats on a gaming platform.
You are so right, but you've answered your question yourself, Mr. Zaka, that IT-enabled and IT crimes are so easy to uncover and prove in a court of law. There is documentation, there's encryption, there's a financial trail, there's also a corroborative evidence that is face-to-face of the victims and also of Shahnawaz. Let us not live in illusion. Shahnawaz would be subjected to the lie detector test and the polygraph test. And also the other incorporated and other evidence will also be incorporated in the investigation. Therefore, it is one of the easier investigations to prove in a court of law, much as I would like to lay a bet also that this case is going to end in conviction because it has already incontrovertible evidence.
So let me go to Khaliqur Rahman. I just want to bring our viewers also up to speed with the entire modus operandi of how this racket worked. This is according to the Ghaziabad police. They are saying that once a miscreant has created a profile on this popular gaming app called Fortnite, they identify their targets based on behavior. That is, people who tend to spend a lot of time on these gaming apps, people who are very open to sending random messages to strangers and also open to receiving messages from random strangers. And most importantly, they are also evaluated as to what kind of relationship they have with their parents, whether they're close to their parents, whether they spend adequate time with their parents, or their parents have let them off with a long rope. This is how the targets are chosen, and invariably, in this case, the targets that have been chosen are impressionable young adults. Doesn't it point to some kind of a sinister multi-state gang, Khaliqur Rahman, that preys on these innocent victims, profiles them, looks at the ideal profile of this impressionable mind, and then sort of targets him or her?
Yeah, good evening to you, Zaka, and good evening to all my co-panelists and all your viewers. First of all, let me tell you that it is a matter of great concern for all of us, because we are all parents and we all have the teenager children. So, and we are not, able to actually monitor how much time they are actually spending and on what app and what they are doing actually. And let me also tell you that I lost my son in a road accident in 2011. After that, I started a campaign called Youth Against Speed. That's a road safety campaign. And I work with, the youth across the country. And I know the mindset and the very purpose of reaching out to the youth is to tell them that number one, we talk on the deadly consequences of the speed and the drunken driving. And apart from that, I also, make use of that platform to also reach out to the youth and also to their parents to tell them that you be with your children as a friend and don't have these distances, especially at least have one meal, at least your dinner with your children. So that what happens is, because the gap or the distance or the communication gap which is developing, because what happened now, the parents have also become so busy these days, so they are not able to spend quality time with the children. So that's the reason, because if we go back to our days, we have spent a lot of time in the joint families. Today it's a nuclear family trend now. So because of that, it is really because mom is working, dad is working, and what happens is most of the time, in order to please the children, since we are not able to, give them the time, we give them all sort of comforts, and also we don't.
But Mr. Rahman, what should a 13, 14, 15-year-old do who may or may not be addicted to these video games but spends a lot of time playing these video games, and then there are fellow video gamers who are luring him or her, talking about religion, talking about Islam, talking about how Allah's is the only way and so on. What can a teenager with an impressionable mind do to counter this? If not to counter, at least to recognize that this is what is going on.
Let me tell you, because these teenagers are 13 years, 14 years, 15 years, they have the very vulnerable minds, and it is very easy to lure them, especially. And the kind of this sinister plan, which has been, in fact, discovered by the police about a week, 10 days back, it very clearly shows there is, something really happening. And I'm not too sure about the figure that 300 or 400 conversions. But, it is up to the police to actually do the thorough investigation into this matter. And we have to actually reach to the deep-rooted cause of this.
Okay,
Yes,
on that one last point, I agree that yes, that the police will need to prove this in a court of law, and it's not going to be easy to do that. But let me ask Anila Singh, the larger problem, Anila Singh, is that these on... One second, sir, I'll come back to you. I have time. Religious conversion using these online games like Fortnite and then the Discord chat app, it's basically similar to what happens on your online dating apps. Normally, you allow all users to sign in either with a Facebook profile or a Google profile. And this automatically, you don't have to show any verified credentials. You don't have to show any government ID proof, or you don't have to show your age proof. You can actually fake or create fake profiles on Facebook and Google. And using those profiles, you are then allowed access into these gaming apps. Is it time now for government to seriously consider that, particularly, violent games like PUBG and in this case Fortnite, which was used, that the real identity of these people in some form should be made available?
I think that is a very great input, and some steps has to be taken by the government, because this is getting very scary. Like we have seen, there was a game, Blue Whale or some, I don't remember the name.
Blue Whale.
Blue Whale. We saw so many kids, finishing their lives. Today we are seeing that how these people, they are luring young mind to get their religion converted. So this is very, very scary. We keep on seeing such things happen. And yes, you are absolutely correct. Certain steps should be taken. I mean, though it is so difficult to check the web world, dark web world, but still, I think government is already very proactive. In 1 year's time, we know it very well that many online platform